Welcome back. You're watching Startup Central with me, Nayantara, working from home. We have a very special guest for you. We're going to be joined by the co-founder of Freshworks. Now, Freshworks is, of course, India's first SaaS unicorn. It started more than 10 years ago from a small suburb near Chennai, where the co-founder says people in Chennai perhaps have not heard of. We always celebrate the successes, and we got the co-founder to give this interview all the way from Silicon Valley to talk about the impact of COVID-19 on SaaS startups, how to reimagine startups, advice for all of you entrepreneurs, the way businesses are pivoting, lots of fantastic insights that are going to come in for you from that interview. But before that, and the reason we reached out to Freshworks was also because we had interviewed Sequoia Capital India's Managing Director Rajan Anandan, who couldn't stop praising Freshworks, talked about how Freshworks actually started a trend in India of unicorns, how that is trending. It set the stage for so many other entrepreneurs and startups, how digital highways in India are far more advanced, maybe 100 years of physical highways, but even more advanced than what you're seeing in China. So before we get to our interview with Freshworks, here's a quick refresher with Rajan Anandan.
We always say, look, we haven't seen a unicorn in this space. What everybody forgets is that 10 years ago, India had 0 unicorns, and today we have 30 unicorns, right? Actually, if you take SaaS, right, software as a service, 2 years ago, Nayantara, India had 0 unicorns. Freshworks was the first unicorn. Then we had Druva. Then we had Icertis, and then the most recent one is Postman, right? And within SaaS, we are going to actually easily end up with 20-25 unicorns over the next 5 years, right? Because there's this extraordinary amount of built from India, built for the world momentum in SaaS now, right? So we have an ecosystem where people can build. People have figured out how to go market these products and sell these products around the world. So I think look, 2 years makes a huge difference, right? And we've seen it in SaaS, just in India, in our ecosystem.
Freshworks is an overnight success story that took 10 years to build. So we started in October 2010 in a small suburb in Chennai, which most people in Chennai wouldn't know where it is. So I think we were foolish enough to believe that we can start in Chennai and build software for the world. But here we are. So I think thanks to a lot of things that went right, hiring great teams, I'm super proud of the team that we have built, building great products, being a beneficiary of the funding boom in India. The VCs were there looking for Flipkart and the next set of consumer startups. So somebody thought, okay, let's just fund this small company in Chennai also. And we were actually really the beneficiary of that, right? Because in 2010, 11, 12, the funding for Indian startups was all about consumer internet. But we were fortunate enough to land funding, and then we kept growing and executing. Today, we are a global company. I would say we are operating from 3,000 offices due to COVID. But before that, we were operating from 13 offices globally. And so we have more than 40,000 paying customers across 200, almost 150 plus countries. So I think so that's our journey. We are into the customer engagement software space. Yeah. And I'm grateful for where we are today, given everything that's happening in the world. But Freshworks is still very relevant for customers in terms of helping them do business in a post-COVID world. So I think we are grateful for that.
In fact, Girish, because there's always something called golden time, that's what you were referring to. And that time Freshworks got lucky, Freshdesk as it was called then. But there are a lot of young entrepreneurs today, young startups who may not be as lucky. Their venture could be a few months old, a few years old. They may not have the cash to withstand it. And you've been a role model, like Rajan Anandan said, Freshworks was the first SaaS unicorn, and after that, look at the slew that we've had. What would your advice be to all those that are tuning in? I know they look at you as a role model, they look at you as a success story. They may forget the first 10 years of labor that you may have put in to reach here. But any advice that you have for them? I know they'll be really keen to hear from you.
Yeah, so I think the advice has to be very context specific, right? Because there are startups which have raised funding and they have enough money for like 2-3 years. So the advice for them would be like to really think about how technology would be relevant in a post-COVID world, and really double down, because talent is available now. And like many companies are laying off people, and you can actually go and hire as a startup with funding. So you can double down, accelerate your product development, and go for really winning the market. And when the market picks up again, when the buying starts coming up again, hopefully after the vaccine, things will improve shortly, and then they can be well positioned to capitalize on that. But on the other hand, if a startup is like not well funded, not well capitalized, so if they are running low on cash, and their current products, like they're not able to grow their revenues as fast as they expected, then the strategy would be to hunker down and conserve cash, and stay alive to live another day, right? So I think they have to like really make sure that they are cutting down on unnecessary spend. And some of them may have to take the hard call to, even because the growth plans change, right? Like it was all, the analogy that I give is, it's like a cricket match with suddenly you have a Duckworth-Lewis system because of rain, right? So you may have a big growth plan, but suddenly COVID is like rain, and it changed the game. Now you have to rethink the entire strategy and go into a survival mode. So I think it's very context specific on what stage and what market the startup is, and their level of funding or capitalization.
You want to say anything to those who are specifically in SaaS, because that's something you really understand and you pioneered?
Yeah. So in SaaS, I think broadly, I would say for horizontal SaaS companies, which is, when I say horizontal SaaS companies, it's companies that can be SaaS products that can be sold to any company. I think this is COVID is actually short-term pain, long-term gain, because see, Satya Nadella said it best in April. I think he said we are already seeing 2 years worth of digital transformation in 2 weeks, right? So I think every business is now forced to quickly accelerate their digital transformation, especially when employees are remote and customers are not coming to the store. So I think in the long run, it's a boon for SaaS companies. And so I think we have to work on capitalizing on that opportunity. Definitely in short term, there is pain, because many customers themselves, if they are in travel or hospitality, they are going through pain, right? They are going through tough times, and they may not be buying right now. So I think, but it's long-term gain.
Long-term gain. So, tell me something, COVID-19 has forced people to accelerate their plans, perhaps shelve a lot of plans, hit the pause button, and in a lot of cases also reimagine the whole thing, right? What did Freshworks do differently? How did it have to reimagine for the COVID world and the post-COVID world?
Yeah, I think I should say we were not, it was relatively easier for us, because as a cloud native company, right? See, we started the company in 2010. In 2011, when Chennai summers came, you all know how hot Chennai is, right? I used to joke in 2011 and 12 that, hey, all of us can take our laptops and go to a nice cold place like Ooty or Kodaikanal and work with an internet connection, right? So the reason I'm giving you that example is the biggest shift due to COVID was when all employees had to go and work from home. It was relatively easy for us. It was not very disruptive to the business, and because all of our systems were on the cloud, so people could have their laptops and work from home, right? So it was harder because we all missed our office. We missed the face-to-face interaction, the whiteboarding sessions, the water cooler talks, but business kept moving, right? And we also saw from a customer standpoint, April was like a brutal month where we saw a lot of customers going through the pain. So we had to go step in and give relief. And while the good news was we were seeing a lot of new business close, the bad news was we were also seeing existing customers being impacted. And so there was a lot of churn in the month of April. But May was better, much better than April. And so we are now seeing that things are coming back the worst is behind us from a business standpoint. And so we are excited about being. The good news is, I think we are still relevant for customers to engage with their customers in a post-COVID world. So our software is still helping them. We have had incredible stories of how communities used Freshworks software to help, in healthcare, right? Like I think in India there is a Step One project, which is a tele-help center for COVID. So millions of calls have happened, is still there. There are 30,000 doctors, if I'm not mistaken, on that platform. So they're using Freshworks products to actually deliver that service. In UK, we had an entire village actually on Freshdesk supporting needs of different residents. There was a community helping. So these stories are all incredibly humbling, and we never imagined that our products would be used in these environments, right? So I think we are super grateful and glad that we were able to be there for people when they needed it the most.
Girish, you said you were crazy enough to dream so big from a suburban Chennai that no one had ever heard of, that you had venture capitalists looking to fund in India, but you were not just building for India, you were also building, it has turned out, for the world, right? Can you tell the viewers what is so special about the software, about your company that was able to solve problems for the world?
No, I think the most important aspect of what we were doing different or special is about figuring out a completely new playbook or a new business model, right? So if you look at the Valley, you actually have the traditional enterprise software market. The way it is sold, it's sold to the CEOs and the CIOs. It's sold on it used to be sold on golf courses, and a multi-million-dollar deal is signed maybe at a wine and dine kind of a scenario, or it's very top down. The sale is very top down. So what we pioneered and really were able to do is we figured out an inbound playbook. And that is relevant for today, right? If you think about companies like, say, Zoom or Slack, right? So it is not sold top down. Somebody in the company uses Zoom or Slack, and then before you know it, there are a few teams using it, and before you know it, the whole company is using it, right? So it is a very bottoms-up revolution, and we all know Zoom and Slack because we use it personally, individually also, but what Freshworks has been doing from day one is something similar, where our users actually discover our software. We reach them online. So we were global from day one. So it didn't matter to us whether a customer came from Belgium or Bangalore or Brazil. So they would find us online, come to our website, sign up for a trial and start using it. They'll add their team members and just use it. So I think that is the new way of selling enterprise software, right? So it grows within the company. And I don't know if you know about Atlassian. That's also another company that makes software like Jira, which also grew in a very similar fashion. Even though they have several large customers, they sell to engineering teams. So the engineering teams would actually find those tools and then they start using it. So I think this is what has been special about our journey, is that our software is usually not sold top down. It's discovered bottom up. Yeah. So, and that's how we were able to sit in Chennai and leverage online marketing and get people to the website, people who are looking for getting a CRM or getting a help desk software or a customer support solution, and really making sure the products are intuitively built and well designed so that they don't need professional help. They didn't need to bring professional services or consultants to come and implement, unlike traditional software. So it's easy to use, easy to implement, like how we all use Zoom and Slack, right? So it's a new way. We would like to call it the software, the SaaS revolution, right? Where products are being consumed bottom up.
So is there a new playbook for COVID and the post-COVID world, or do you think the old playbook is going to still be relevant?
No, there definitely has to be a new playbook for post-COVID world. In some sense, again, it depends on what part of the playbook. See, the playbook has a go-to-market section, the playbook has a product section, and so on. So on the go-to-market section, I think our playbook is still relevant because, see, we were sitting in Chennai, selling around the world, right? So the enterprise selling playbook is what has got disrupted. Today, every big enterprise salesman who's used to meeting face-to-face and selling $1 million deals has to learn how to sell through Zoom or WebEx, right? So they have to sit and do phone calls and online demos and try to sell. So that enterprise sales playbook has disrupted. So they have to now adapt to selling remotely, which we have been doing for so long. But if you think about the product playbook, then you definitely have to rethink how do you make sure that the products are relevant in a post-COVID world. For example, will video play an important role? So customer support through video or customer conversations. So video is an important channel today and very crucial. Or think about marketing, like every field marketer, right? We used to run, all these companies used to run big user conferences. So we had these trade shows and we all go and meet. And we had a captive audience, right? Like if you're doing an event, you have 5,000 people sitting in an auditorium. You have them for 2 days or 3 days, right? And you can feed them, you can organize a party and all of that. Completely disrupted. Now, how will marketing teams run virtual events where people are sitting in their homes? They may choose to attend a session for half an hour, and then the next half an hour, you don't know whether they're going to be there or not, right? So how do you rethink the entire marketing, field marketing platform? So I think the playbook is getting disrupted in all aspects. So people have to think whether it's marketing or sales or product, they have to rethink what's changing and also look at work, remote work, right? So I think I like we are all thinking, will there ever be a situation where 1,000 employees will go into a building again, right? So maybe the new model could be like we open up satellite offices in multiple cities. So every office is like 20, 30 people. So you have people meeting people. So that feeling is still there, but you don't have 1,000 people where the risk of contracting the disease is high. So all of this is going to be very new. Even we have to rethink how office re-entry to office is going to happen, right? So the playbook is definitely getting disrupted, but I think companies will evolve and adapt, and entrepreneurs will find a way to quickly be agile and nimble and
give me one or two examples of how you innovated, pivoted, changed things during the lockdown, during COVID-19.
Okay, so I think this is a good example is our field marketing team, right? So I think we have like a field marketing team in US and Europe, where we used to run all these events that I just talked about, and like we have had great success. We get like 800,000 people attending our events, and we generate tons of leads and interest in Freshworks, and then we nurture them and engage them and sell, right? Now, in a post-COVID world, like all of this was completely not possible, right? I think two examples in that itself, I'd say one is our European marketing team actually came up with a very new, bold idea, where we also realized that everybody is going to be doing Zoom sessions and virtual conferences, and it's going to be boring. So what we did was we almost did Netflix-style content, where we interviewed customers, but in a very engaging, interesting content. And it was not about Freshworks or marketing. It was about customer stories told through the customers, but in a web series kind of stuff. And then we promoted it as Experience IT. And that was a huge success, just purely based on content being so new and innovative, rather than just us going and talking about our products and stuff like that.
Whether, is a Sundar Pichai or a Mark Zuckerberg, you name it, they all are coming here, right? Can you tell me from there in California, what's the buzz? Can you give us some insight? It'd be fabulous to hear that. I know that India has always spoken about, very high light when it comes to engineers and stuff. What are people saying right now?
No, I think, see, when you look at consumer markets, right? Like India is the next big opportunity for everybody, whether it's Indian entrepreneurs or US entrepreneurs, because see, China is more closed in terms of being open to other companies. India is actually like not highly regulated or censored, so it's a free market. And the reason why Facebook and Google and Amazon are all interested in India is because it is the biggest market, biggest available market to them in terms of the number of people that we have, right? And I think Reliance Jio is really opening up the doors by bringing a lot of Indians who were previously not on the internet, by bringing them online. I think they're giving access to these global giants and either through partnerships or by doing it themselves. So I think that is the exciting thing, because I think nobody else has such a big market. Like most of the demographics in Europe, it's like aging. Japan is aging. So where do you go? And China is closed. So the last frontier for the next billion people is actually in India, right? And US, even though it's a big market, it doesn't have the same demographic advantage that India has. So that's why like all these companies are excited about India. And I think the US-India partnership is like really at a strong position like never before. I think the governments are also working closely. I think it's a good time.